You're all welcome to today's news analysis. If this is your first time here, you're highly welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss important political updates like this one. Now listen carefully. What Peter Obi said in Abuja yesterday was not a joke. It was not a hint. It was not a rumor. It was a clear message. And that message is already shaking 2027. Yesterday at Banex Plaza in Abuja, Peter Obi made it very clear. He said, "I am contesting for president of Nigeria under ADC. No fear. No apology. No going back." This statement did not come with hesitation. It did not come with conditions. It did not come with silence after. It came with confidence, clarity, and full awareness of what it means in Nigeria's current political climate. Peter Obi was not testing the waters. He was not floating an idea. He was making a firm declaration in the heart of the country's political space. Abuja is not just any city. Abuja is where power listens. Abuja is where messages are received clearly. So when a politician speaks openly there, the intention is serious. This announcement immediately placed Peter Obi back at the center of national political discussion. Not as a rumor. Not as a possibility. But as an active contender preparing for what lies ahead in 2027. It is important to understand the weight of the words he used. He did not say he was considering running. He did not say he was consulting. He said he is contesting. That language matters in politics. It shows readiness. It shows resolve. It shows that structures are already being aligned. The platform he mentioned is also not accidental. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, is currently going through internal talks, alignments, and disputes over leadership direction and zoning. By clearly stating his intention under ADC, Peter Obi stepped directly into the middle of those discussions, not from the sidelines but from the front. This was not a speech meant to excite supporters alone. It was a signal to party leaders, political allies, and rival aspirants that he is fully in the race and expects to be taken seriously. The timing is also critical. Nigeria is still dealing with economic pressure, rising cost of living, public distrust in leadership, and deep political division. In moments like this, political declarations are not just about elections, they are about positioning. Obi's statement positions him as a stable, consistent figure who is willing to stand by his ambition without confusion. But beyond the public reaction, the message behind this declaration was even stronger. This announcement was not made in isolation. It was made with full knowledge of ongoing political tensions within opposition circles. And most importantly, it was made with full awareness of Atiku Abubakar's position and influence. Peter Obi knows the political weight Atiku carries. He knows Atiku's history, reach, and repeated attempts at the presidency. He also knows the current disagreement surrounding who should lead and who should step aside as Nigeria approaches another election cycle. So when Peter Obi stood in Abuja and spoke with certainty, it was not just an announcement to Nigerians. It was a direct political statement to those who believe influence alone should determine leadership. The clarity of his words removed speculation. It ended internal guessing games. It told party stakeholders that he is not waiting for anyone's approval to pursue his mandate. This is significant because Nigerian politics often thrives on silence, behind-the-scenes negotiations, and last-minute surprises. Obi's approach was different. It was open. It was direct. It was deliberate. By choosing clarity over ambiguity, he shifted the conversation from who might run to who is ready to run. And that changes the dynamics completely. Political actors now have to respond to a reality, not a rumor. Party leaders now have to decide how to manage competing ambitions. Supporters now know where he stands without confusion. This single statement has already reshaped internal party discussions. It has also intensified debates around fairness, balance, and respect for agreed political arrangements. Peter Obi did not raise his voice. He did not attack anyone by name. Yet the impact of his words was loud and impossible to ignore. In Nigerian politics, some statements are made to please the crowd. Others are made to shift power. This one clearly belongs to the second category. By saying what he said, where he said it, and how he said it, Peter Obi made one thing clear: he is not stepping back, and he is not waiting for permission. And from this moment, every political calculation within ADC and beyond must now account for that reality. Let's be clear and realistic about what is happening beneath the surface of Nigerian politics right now. The African Democratic Congress is no longer just an alternative party on the sidelines. It is gradually becoming a serious platform for political realignment, and that is exactly why the issue of zoning has become unavoidable within the party. Zoning is not a casual tradition in Nigeria. It is a stabilizing agreement meant to manage diversity, reduce tension, and give every region a sense of belonging in national leadership. Power moved from the north to the south in 2023. That shift was not accidental. It was the result of years of debate, negotiation, and political understanding. By that logic, the South is expected to retain the presidency until 2031. This expectation is not written in stone, but it is deeply embedded in the country's political reasoning. This is where the current tension begins. Atiku Abubakar is from the north. His ambition to contest again in 2027 is not a secret. However, his continued interest has reopened a sensitive national discussion that many Nigerians believed had already been settled. The question is no longer about individual capability or experience. It is about timing, balance, and respect for an existing political understanding. Within ADC, this disagreement has created unease. Party members are divided between loyalty to established political figures and the need to present a credible, fair, and nationally acceptable option. The refusal of Atiku to step aside has complicated this balance. This situation places the party at a crossroads. On one side is the desire to leverage Atiku's name recognition and political experience. On the other side is the growing demand for fairness and adherence to zoning, especially at a time when public trust in political institutions is fragile. Peter Obi's declaration has intensified this debate. By openly affirming his intention to run under ADC, Obi has forced the party to confront the zoning issue directly. This is no longer a quiet internal matter. It is now a public political question that requires a clear position. The South currently has two major figures in the national political conversation: Bola Tinubu and Peter Obi. Tinubu, the incumbent, represents continuity within the ruling structure. Obi, on the other hand, represents a different political philosophy, one that many supporters associate with accountability, prudence, and reform. This distinction matters. Even if the ruling party loses power in 2027, the expectation among many Nigerians is that leadership should remain in the South until 2031. This expectation is not driven by sentiment alone. It is driven by the need to maintain national balance and prevent renewed regional tension. Atiku's position challenges this expectation. For ADC, allowing a northern candidate to emerge in 2027 carries political risk. It raises questions about commitment to fairness and could weaken the party's appeal in southern regions. At the same time, sidelining Atiku could alienate influential allies and supporters in the north. This dilemma is at the heart of ADC's current struggle. What makes the situation more complex is the broader national mood. Nigerians are not just tired of economic hardship, they are tired of political recycling. There is growing resistance to repeated candidacies that ignore evolving national realities. Peter Obi's presence in this conversation changes the equation. His support base is not built on regional loyalty alone. It cuts across age groups, professions, and regions, particularly among young voters and urban professionals. This makes zoning even more critical. If ADC positions itself as a party that respects zoning while presenting a candidate with national appeal, it strengthens its credibility. If it ignores zoning, it risks being seen as just another platform driven by personal ambition rather than principle. This is why Obi's statement is not just about him. It is about forcing clarity within ADC. The party can no longer delay this decision. Silence is no longer an option. Every move, every meeting, and every statement will now be interpreted through the lens of zoning and fairness. This is also a test of political maturity. Parties that fail to manage internal disagreements often collapse under pressure. Those that address them openly and decisively tend to gain public respect. ADC now stands at that point. The actions taken in the coming months will determine whether it emerges as a serious national alternative or remains trapped in internal contradiction. Zoning is not just a technical issue here. It is a measure of integrity, strategy, and long-term vision. And in Nigeria's current political climate, those qualities matter more than ever. The implications of what is unfolding now go far beyond individual ambition or party politics. This moment is shaping the entire direction of the 2027 election cycle and redefining how political decisions will be judged by the Nigerian public. Peter Obi's declaration has effectively moved the political conversation from speculation to accountability. Once a candidate openly states intent, every action that follows becomes subject to scrutiny. Silence is interpreted as strategy. Delay is interpreted as calculation. And clarity, or the lack of it, becomes a political statement on its own. For ADC, this moment demands leadership. The party can no longer operate in ambiguity. It must decide whether it stands for structured political transition or for open contest regardless of prior understanding. This decision will influence how Nigerians perceive the party's seriousness and credibility. At the national level, the impact is equally significant. Bola Tinubu remains the current symbol of Southern leadership at the federal level. However, the political reality is that incumbency does not guarantee continuity. Economic pressures, public dissatisfaction, and governance challenges have already reshaped voter expectations. Peter Obi's presence introduces a contrast. Not a contrast based on rhetoric, but on approach. Many Nigerians view him as representing discipline, restraint, and measurable governance standards. Whether these perceptions translate into electoral success is a separate question, but their existence shapes the political field. This creates a layered contest. It is no longer simply a ruling party versus opposition scenario. It is also a contest of ideas, values, and political culture. Voters are being asked, directly or indirectly, to choose between different interpretations of leadership. Atiku Abubakar's continued involvement adds another layer. His experience is unquestionable, but his insistence on contesting again has reopened debates about political succession and renewal. For many Nigerians, this raises concerns about whether leadership transition is being delayed by personal ambition. This concern resonates strongly among younger voters. A large segment of the electorate now expects political actors to respect timing and national mood. Repeated bids for office are increasingly seen as a sign of disconnect rather than determination. ADC must weigh these sentiments carefully. Political parties do not operate in isolation. They respond to public pressure, voter emotion, and shifting narratives. Ignoring these factors could cost the party relevance at a critical moment. What happens next will depend on how decisively ADC responds. A clear position on zoning and candidacy could unify supporters and attract undecided voters. Prolonged indecision could weaken trust and create internal fractures that opponents will exploit. This is also a moment of political education for the electorate. Nigerians are watching not just who is running, but how decisions are made. Transparency, fairness, and consistency are becoming more important than slogans or grand promises. The 2027 election will likely be less forgiving than previous cycles. Economic hardship has sharpened public judgment. Citizens are paying closer attention to process, not just outcome. Peter Obi's move has accelerated this scrutiny. By stepping forward early, he has invited both support and criticism. But more importantly, he has forced all players to reveal their position sooner than they might have planned. This early clarity could reshape alliances. It could influence negotiations. And it could determine which narratives dominate the political space as campaigns intensify. For Atiku, this moment requires reflection. For ADC, it requires direction. For voters, it requires engagement. The choices made now will echo into 2027 and beyond. Political decisions are rarely isolated events. They create patterns, expectations, and consequences. Nigeria stands at a familiar yet critical junction. The demand is no longer just for leadership, but for leadership that respects structure, timing, and national balance. As the political landscape continues to shift, one reality remains clear: the era of quiet assumptions is ending. Positions are being declared. Lines are being drawn. And the path to 2027 is becoming clearer, more contested, and more consequential than many expected. This is not just another election cycle taking shape. It is a test of political maturity, both for those seeking power and for the system that enables them. The news today makes one thing obvious: 2027 will not follow old patterns. Every move by key figures like Peter Obi and Atiku will be analyzed, debated, and measured against national expectations. The conversation about zoning, fairness, and leadership integrity is no longer theoretical, it is central to public perception. ADC's next steps will signal whether it is a party committed to structure or one swayed by ambition. For Nigerians, this is a moment to watch closely, understand deeply, and evaluate critically. The dynamics are shifting rapidly, and the balance between principle and personal interest will define the political landscape leading up to the election.